Venezuela once again paving the way and creating the opportunity for college kids from all around the world to scream, "That wasn't real socialism, man!" Let's have a look. Venezuela to auction Petro via its DICOM foreign exchange platform. Scroll, scroll, scroll. According to the Venezuelan Vice President Tariq El-Assami. Oh, that's a very Spanish-sounding name, Tariq El-Assami. That's that guy right there, by the way. That's Tariq. Very Spanish-looking fellow, wouldn't you agree? All right, back to it here. Bloop. According to the Venezuelan Vice President Tariq El-Assami, the country's oil-backed cryptocurrency Petro, PTR, will be auctioned. Well, let's just stop right there for just a quick second and let's analyze that. Auctioning, huh? So not like a ICO or a public sale. You have to auction it. Take another look. To private companies. Oh, so to private companies. Oh, I see. So not to the public, right? You want to get private companies to give their money to you. Now let's have another look here. Petro will be auctioned to private companies via the country's DICOM foreign exchange platform, quote, in a few weeks. While speaking at a meeting broadcast on the state television, El-Assami stated that the Petro will be auctioned and added that the companies will be able to use the country's oil-backed cryptocurrency to pay for imports of raw materials. He notably said, and this is the part you want to pay attention to, the Petro is going to be our powerful international currency above the dollar, right? That's their whole thing. You want to be above the dollar, right? You want to crush those filthy capitalists once and for all. The problem is that you're like a little kid who doesn't understand why he cannot have cake for dinner, right? Like the main course can't be just cake and ice cream. That's what socialists do. Like they keep trying this horrible thing that starves people to death. Meanwhile, none of it's their fault. It's not Maduro's fault that people are eating, their pets and going out into the woods and trying to get rabbits just to eat, right? It's not their fault though, right? It must be those evil capitalists' fault. Like they're sitting on top of the world's largest, oil ocean, and they can't figure out how to sell it, effectively enough to feed their own people. Right? Oh, that's capitalism's fault. Well, wait a minute. I thought socialism was a better idea. And so this is Al-Assami, who, by the way, his parents were part of the forming of the Ba'athist Party. Now, Ba'athists, right? By the way, they're Syrian, okay? He's not Spanish. That was a joke. The vice president of Venezuela is Syrian. Of course, he was born in Venezuela, but his parents were Ba'athists. And you might be thinking, I don't really know what a Ba'athist is. Well, without giving you a full breakdown of history, remember Saddam Hussein? Remember that guy? Okay, he was a Ba'athist. All right? Can we move on, or do you need further explanation? And moving on, let's have another look. A fraud. Venezuela's National Assembly declares Petro unconstitutional. So, okay, again, here, Maduro's not... He's the leader of that nation, but there's other people that work in the government buildings that he works in, right? And those people are coming out and saying, listen, you're fraudulently creating this currency so that people have to buy it with actual currency from their nations, and then you get to keep all that currency for this BS Petro coin. And they're saying it's a fraud. So herein lies the problem with socialists, right? Again, they're like children. It's like, why do you keep trying this system of government that only results in lots of people dying, a lot of human suffering? Like, why do you keep doing that? Oh, because it's a system of sharing, man. No, it's not. It's government mandated sharing. That's not sharing, right? Sharing is when I decide that I'm going to part with my resources so that you can extend your life. That's what sharing is. Being forced to is brutality, right? It's brutality to force somebody to do something, even if it's what you believe as moral and ethical, because then you're setting yourself up as an individual to be the arbiter of all things moral and ethical. Dangerous position to be in. And nobody's ever been able to handle that position, and that's why socialism always fails. It always fails, and it fails miserably. It fails with people dying from hunger, right? It's like one of the worst possible deaths you could possibly imagine, because it lasts the entire time, right? Your body will keep living in hopes of having something to eat until it cannot feed off of itself anymore. That's who these people are. They're the people who caused that to happen. They're weaklings. And now they're just delving out some cryptocurrency, like they see some new shiny thing going on in America, right? Cryptocurrencies, they see what's happening in the United States and they say, we're going to take down the United States by using this thing that's in the United States, and we're going to defeat capitalism by using, wait for it, capitalism, right? It's wonderful to watch this. Now, let's have another quick look at something else here. Venezuela's Petro may help the global currency system, Chinese credit ratings giant. All right, so now we have the Chinese coming in, and oh, how fitting is this? So we've got Maduro, who's a socialist, right? We have his vice president, who is a socialist, and he's the son of Syrian immigrants, and those people are Baathists, right? They're the bad guys. They're the Saddam Hussein people, right? So we got Maduro, we've got a Syrian Baathist, and now the Chinese are chiming in, right? The Chinese who just recently made some moves to make it look like, oh, China's heading back to communism. China's heading back to prison camps and people starving to death, and there are people being told how many children they're allowed to have, right? Where dissenters are put to death, right? You people screaming about like, oh, Donald Trump is the Hitler. It's like, really, how many dissenters has he put to death, right? How many prison camps does he set up and put people on? Oh, that's right, none. That is none. But China, on the other hand, oh, they have a rich history of killing people who disagree with the central government. Rich, long history, right? And so do the Baathists, and so does every socialist who lives. So as we're looking at this, it's like, so China is now chiming in and saying like, oh yeah, Petro, baby, sing, right? That's what's in the future for Venezuela. That's what's in the future for us as we trade cryptocurrencies. These things, you think they're not going to affect you? They will. Even if the Petro does a quick fall on its face, usually the horrible things that socialism causes take years to play out. But let's just say the Petro flops immediately. It'll flop eventually, but let's just say it's quick. Well, what do you think that that's going to do to investor confidence worldwide? Do you think in the future that other people will be more likely or less likely to invest in like a national cryptocurrency? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you think that that might affect consumer confidence when it comes to that sort of thing? And keep in mind too, like if you're a socialist guy, because I get some of you people, some of you fake wannabe college kid socialists, you like to come on to my platforms and talk shit to me. Listen, I'll tell you what, socialist. Why don't you invest your money in the socialist cryptocurrency, the Petro? Why don't you do that and then come back when it fails and explain yourself, right? And I'm not saying that as like a standoffish kind of challenge. I'm just saying like when you lose, not if, but when socialism fails you again and results in the murder of lots of people and the horrible torturous death of lots of people, why don't you come back in and write in, maybe I'll put you on the show and we'll hear how it was the evil capitalist's fault once again that socialism does not work, right? Because take a look at this article again. Venezuela's Petro, it may help the global currency system, Chinese credit rating giant says. So let's go down and it says the report reads, the frequent occurrence of credit crisis is evidence of the inadequacy in the US dollar to effectively play the role of the international reserve currency. Under such circumstances, the innovation of Petro may provide useful lessons for all countries to explore and experiment with new forms of currency backed by material wealth and good for cross-border payments and international financing. Okay, did you hear what he just said? Well, we don't really like having the U.S. dollar as the world currency. We would like the scenario to be more fair, right? Right. We want the currency to be goods based, right? Well, think about this. Venezuela has the goods. They've got the oil, and the world needs it, right? That oil is in and of itself, it is currency, right? It can be exchanged, it can be sold for a profit, it can be used to leverage other politicians. It's not just money, it's power. And the guy in charge of it has not been able to figure out how to run his country, even though he's on top of an actual ocean of oil, right? That's who these people are. That's why socialism sucks, and that's why it always fails. Tune in next time when we when we discuss why atheists are actually just intellectual cowards. We'll talk to you then.